Researchers studying high school football players have found evidence that helmet-to-helmet hits can cause some brain damage, even without causing a concussion.
There's risk of much more severe injury and, in some cases, although very rare, even death.
Our generation of players just didn't say anything. You know, even if you lost time, there's a couple of different types of concussion. The one that's a whoosh like the cartoon characters, and then there's the ones where you lose time. And I think now, only now, we're starting to see the effects of head trauma on our previous generations.
People know it as the silent epidemic right now because it's very hard to pick up on, and where we have to be better is in recognizing and educating parents and athletes about what concussion is.
So your brain is a very soft material, sort of like jello, that's in a hard box, your skull. And so you have a head-to-head impact, and the brain, it's not so much the actual contact to the skull itself, which is very protective, but it's the brain moving forward and hitting the front of the skull or the side of the skull. So it is sort of more of a shaking issue that's the problem as opposed to the actual external impact. The most common mistake that I see in concussed athletes is they go back to play too soon. Obviously, in sports, among athletes, the best thing to do is not go back to play until you've been cleared by your athletic trainer or physician. The biggest problem is it's really quite unpredictable. It's most common among young athletes, adolescents, high school, college-age people. The problem with it is that it can be fatal. So what happens is a person goes back onto the field after they've already been concussed. They then have another concussion while they're playing. They might feel a little bit dazed, they might feel fine, they get up, they keep playing, and then just suddenly, because of brain swelling, they'll collapse on the field, and it can actually progress extremely quickly. Anybody who's working with athletes, athletic trainers, coaches need to be aware of it so that they can get somebody off a field and get them to medical attention immediately.
I was like 4 years old, and I was at a family party, and I saw my little cousin skating around on rollerblades. I've never done it before, and started like scoring goals and getting pretty good at it. And high school, my senior year, we were ranked like 7th in the state. I think I led the team in like points and assists or whatever. We lost in second round of states. Became the Catholic. My sophomore year was like the best year of hockey I've ever had. Like I led the entire league in like points and assists. I got MVP of the league. We had that weekend in Richmond. Everything was going like perfect. Like I couldn't have asked for a better hockey season. Everything just fell apart. I woke up Monday morning and that was it. The Wednesday before that tournament, I collided with one of my friends in practice. It was kind of like head to head, but I didn't pass that or anything. It was just I kind of just like shook it off. We had 3 games in 3 days, and it was just a lot of hockey, a lot of checking, a lot of checks to the head, nothing abnormal or anything, just a regular hockey game. And I got hit around a lot. I was playing some good physical teams, and then on Monday morning I woke up just lightheadedness 24/7. Just you wake up and you're just lightheaded and just don't want to do anything and kind of get down on yourself or whatever. My hand shook for a while. I had shaky hands. I couldn't keep my hands still for a while, and then that slowly went away. I had knee pain for the first 3 weeks, and then that went away, and then it came back in September, like 6 months later. The mornings are the worst for me. When I wake up every morning, my knees hurt a lot, and it just takes me a couple hours during the day to get going, just to shake all the symptoms off and then finally get going. You see kids go back before they're ready all the time, and that's when they really do damage to their career. One of my biggest mistakes was I didn't wear a mouthpiece. I wish I wore my mouthpiece. You can't play anymore. It's just like you feel like that part of your life's gone. It's a terrible feeling. It's not a good feeling at all. You just miss it. Feeling like that was like what you're best at, and now you can't do it anymore. It's like, what do I do now? The most fun you can have, just out with you and all your friends playing.
I don't remember the exact hits or the exact plays, but I do remember, I believe it was the second game of the year. I was tackling somebody and I got a knee to the side of the helmet. And I was dazed. I was like, "Oh, that was a good hit." It was a good hit. I kept playing the rest of the game, and then we came out because it was a game that we were up like 35 points, and then they ended up coming back. And so then we got put back in. I haven't been sitting out of the game for probably half the game, and then you start banging again. And then I remember I went home and I had a really bad headache. And you play football every single game, you have a headache after the game. That's just how it is. And then I noticed as I kept working out that week and kept practicing that every single hit, I would get the headache would come a little bit, and I'd get a little dizzy. So I was being told from people that I was over-exaggerating. I was being told from people to just keep it to myself, don't complain about the headaches, just keep playing football. I felt like a stinger going into my brain a couple times. They still don't know what that was. And then the next weekend was the third game, and then it started getting really bad. I mean, I was nauseous, I was dizzy. And then I remember I came in on Monday, and I explained everything. I told my sister, actually, Sunday night, and she said to go tell the trainer the next day. And she's like, well, we'll take the impact test. I failed it. You go to sleep with a headache, you wake up with a headache. Definitely emotional state. Emotions were flying. I mean, I was angry. I was pissed off. I was confused. I don't know if I was over exaggerating. I mean, I've had injuries before. I've had surgeries before. And I mean, with those, like, see on the MRI, that you have a torn shoulder and you can go and fix it. You see on the MRI, you have a torn knee, you go and fix it. But I mean, with this, it was just like, there was a computer program that was telling me that I had a concussion, It wasn't a doctor. I mean, that he couldn't pull up a piece of paper, I guess, and be like, well, you see this here, that's what's wrong. It's difficult until you actually go through it and experience it. You can't. It's very easy to judge somebody and say that they're over exaggerating. To take severe brain damage and impacts to your brain, it's significantly going to decrease the value of the remaining years of your life.
I remember being a kid and going out with my dad on the weekend to go play football, and he would coach us and just run around having fun, playing this awesome game that, I don't know, I was 8 years old. I didn't think there was anything else better in the world. I'm 20 years old right now. I still don't think there's a better game in the world. When I came to high school, I ran around and hit things, and it was fun. I was all-state, played in the state championship team, won a lot of games. Coaches always preached us to, there's a difference between being injured and being hurt. When you're injured, it's like a broken bone or a torn ligament. You've got to sit out games. If you're hurt, that's something you can play through. I thought headaches were just part of being hurt. I thought being able not to see clearly was part of being hurt. I thought ringing in my ears was part of being hurt. I thought not being able to go to sleep was part of being hurt. I came to college and had the same exact mentality I had in high school and played a whole lot early on, and I loved every second of it. On September 26, 2009, my life changed forever. About 2 weeks prior, on a Thursday practice, I tackled somebody with my head down, which is something that you're taught in football to never to do. You're always taught to tackle with your face. I tackled the guy, and I felt a terrible pain in my eyes and my ears, and I just ran off the field and shook it off. 2 days later, I had a game, played with the what I didn't know at the time was a concussion. Played, had headaches, but didn't think anything of it. I practiced that entire next week, and I played in that game. I sustained a concussion tackling somebody on the sidelines. I got up and my ears were ringing and it was hurting real bad. I ran off the sideline and I didn't know if I had a concussion, and I wasn't really feeling like myself. And I was telling guys on the team, like, my head's killing me. I think I have a concussion, but nobody ever told me to go tell the trainer. And we scored a touchdown. I was on our field goal unit as our right tight end, and they're trying to block the kick. My job is to basically take all three of these guys down to the ground and give us enough time to get the ball off. I've done this hundreds of times, never had a problem, but this time was totally different. I went and stepped to block them. I did my job, all three of them brought me to the ground. We got the kickoff, and that was it. My life has changed forever. I had 3 concussions in a 9-day span. After that moment, I don't remember a whole lot of the next couple months. I can only piece together stories from what my friends told me, that I was, drooling, and I couldn't talk. I confused words a lot. I had to drop a class. My grades plummeted. I was on all kinds of medication. I was put into speech therapy to work on my speech and short-term memory loss. I would just stop walking somewhere and totally forget where I was. I was in this constant pain. My ears and my eyes hurt so bad, and just moving hurt. I remember going to a grocery store and just looking at the walls and looking at the shelves and thinking, there's way too much going on in here. Am I going to be crazy forever? This is an issue that can be avoided very easily if people are just educated and know what can happen to them if they step back on that field when they get a concussion. The NCAA does tell us about concussions, but I feel like there could be more done. We need to start change in sports. When people receive concussions, they need to get off the field. It's better to sit out one game than the rest of your life.